When you say you don't have time, is that really about the clock? Or is it about desire, want to, and maybe discipline? Because people make time all the time. They make time for what interests them, what entertains them, what soothes them, what supplies the dopamine hits. Somebody can say they do not have time to read 10 pages of something meaningful and still find 2 hours for something they won't remember next week. That is not a time problem. That is an appetite problem. Now, some people really are carrying more than what we can see. Some people are barely holding themselves together, and that's real. But even inside whatever wiggle room a person has, the question doesn't go away. What gets the best part of your attention? What gets whatever energy is left? What keeps getting fed, and what keeps getting delayed while something easier fills the space again? That's an appetite. An appetite is what draws you. Because appetite is a want to already in motion. It is what pulls you and what moves before you ever decide to move. And if something does not have that pull yet, most people do not move toward it consistently. They may admire it, agree with it, say it matters, but they don't make room for it. Because people don't move deeply toward what they merely respect. They move toward what they hunger for. You can see that in almost every part of life. You can know something is good for you and still never make room for it. You can say something matters and still keep giving your actual life to easier things. Health, faith, meaning, inner life. You can respect all of it and still feed none of it. Because respect is not the same thing as hunger. And your calendar shows that faster than your language ever will. Language can excuse, soften, hide, but repetition tells on you. Repetition shows what gets done and what keeps getting pushed into someday. Now this matters even more when you're talking about meaning. Because people say they don't have time for reflection, for deeper questions, for ideas that require patience. But a lot of the time, meaning is not losing to the clock. Meaning is losing to stronger appetites. Meaning is losing to comfort, entertainment, habit, and whatever else already has enough pull to keep a person inside the lane they already live in. That is a different diagnosis. And it matters because you cannot solve that with a schedule. Now, appetite is only part of it, because not everything that matters is immediately appetizing. Honest self-examination isn't pleasant. Sitting quietly long enough to actually hear yourself is not pleasant. Building discipline is not pleasant. A lot of what forms a person doesn't feel rewarding right away. So if appetite is all you have, you will still stay stuck. That is where discipline comes in. Discipline isn't the same thing as motivation. Motivation waits for the feeling. Discipline goes before it. Discipline carries a thing when the appetite for it is weak. Discipline keeps something on the calendar long enough for it to begin changing you. Discipline lets a person invest in what matters before it becomes emotionally easy. And that's uncomfortable, because I don't have time is a lot easier to say than I haven't trained myself to protect what I say matters. Time is easier to blame. It keeps the problem outside you. Once you see it clearly, the problem gets a lot closer. Because here is what eventually happens. If you keep saying you don't have time for something that you also keep saying matters, then at some point the phrase stops sounding real. At some point it starts sounding like cover. It starts sounding like a polite way of saying, this doesn't own me enough yet. This doesn't pull hard enough to take the hour from what already has it. And that's the real thing underneath most of this. Not the clock, not the schedule. It's that a lot of your time is spoken for with want tos or distractions instead of your shoulds. Habit by habit, appetite by appetite. The hour was gone before anything deeper ever got a chance. And until that gets named honestly, very little changes. So when you say you don't have time, maybe sometimes that's just true. But maybe the harder truth is that it's not really about the clock at all. Maybe it is about what already has your appetite. Maybe it's about what already has enough pull to take the hour before anything deeper ever gets a chance. And if that's true, the question isn't just where did your time go? The question is, what in you keeps giving it away?